This is a Wild Games Production podcast.
Hey folks, Evil DM here, back with another episode of the Evil DM podcast, the OSR podfather of OSR podcasting that have been done by Pinkar. Anyway, good morning, this is a new day, this is a new podcast. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about episodical podcasting and how I feel about that. I think it's a great way to plan out a game for your group. Sitting down as a GM over these years, and I've taken this method basically from TV writing, because TV writing does obviously episodical writing for TV shows, and a game that's actually used this method is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and everything. Basically the Eden Studios games are a good example. The core book you can probably pick up for less than $10 if you really want a hard copy book, but you don't need the revised, just the regular core. They only added like 16 pages to the other book, so you don't need it, and the revised one is a little more expensive. If you just get that core book and look through it, and it talks in great detail about how to plan out your campaign like a TV show, or you can actually just grab how to write TV show books if you really want to dive into the subject in detail. But you could run a game just like a TV show. Each session of the game, each week you play, or each month, or whenever you play, treat it as a self-contained episode of your campaign or of the TV show. Who is it going to focus around? If your whole entire campaign's focusing around a single player because it's their arc and their time to shine, how does it relate to that player? How do you fit in the arc that week? And is there any side arcs as well to help other characters grow? These are things you should be writing down and jotting down in your GM notes or your GM ideas or whatever, your little talkie device that you want to do when you're running your game. That's how I've been planning all my games since I've purchased those books back in the, I think, early 2000s. I don't remember exactly when I got them. And saw that advice. And I never thought about running a game as a TV show, which basically it can be, because now that I'm running all these actual play podcasts and at rollhigherdie.com, where I run World of Arcanus and Marvel and a bunch of Palladium games, and we have a GM that runs Star Wars and Shadowrun there as well. Episode of the week or episodical planning will help you as a GM because it gives you a direction to focus on for that one game. Why it works so well for me is because I don't like running pre-made modules from other people or, adventure paths or things like that. Yeah, those are excellent resources, but that's for people that don't want to bother with writing up their own campaigns or writing up their own stories. They just want what's there, and then they can work with that. I can't do that. I can't follow someone else's story. It has to be my own story. It has to be my own vision. When I run games, I always tend to run games in, like I've said many times, bullet points. This is what I want to get across during the adventure. This is what I want them to face. And sometimes I deviate from that. Actually, quite a few times. If I feel the group is getting bored or not into something, I will throw something out of left field at them, just to be like, whoa, what's this going on? This really wasn't, wow, okay, and then I roll with that. Basically, I like doing a lot of take the spaghetti and throw it against the wall to see if it sticks. And when it sticks, you roll with it. So that's why I do a lot of episodical gaming or podcasting or whatever. I like to plan it out that way. So that way, when I'm running a game, I have ideas written down and I can get them moving forward. Now, for example, in World of Arcanus, my first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons podcast, actual play, rollhigherdie.com, we just finished up about a month ago or so, an entire season that focused around Jacob's cat character, Akio Steelfang, and we went to his land, and we did an entire episodical arc for the season of him redeeming himself with his family because he lost a family heirloom was stolen. He was set up and he was blamed for it. So with dishonor and shame, he, tucked his tail between his legs and ran away. So now we went back to his land. He figured, he would prove himself. He went back and he figured out the mystery of what happened and why it happened and redeemed himself in his family's eyes. His character grew. While he, maybe thought that was cool, maybe didn't think that was cool, but his character progressed and grew as a new character. So players do like an endgame to their campaigns. There's nothing, worse than jumping into a campaign and playing it for a long time and never getting to the end of what it's supposed to be or having an end to it. Leaving it up in the air and always thinking, oh, what if we went back to that campaign? It's always good to give an ending. Like Marvel, my Marvel game, I gave an ending to that game after we were done. All the villains in that game split up, went their own ways, they went into hiding, and that was the end of them. They didn't trust each other anymore, so they didn't feel like moving on, so that's what they did. Is there still a hint of that game coming back? Probably not. It ran its course, and sometimes you need to give a proper ran its course ending. We did a few little follow-up, where are they now type situations just for fun because we wanted to, but that's what you can do. You can revisit it for one-shots and things. We left the door open for a tiny little thing, and it was fun. We had a lot of fun with it, but it wasn't something that we can continue doing along. It was at the point that it needed to be stopped. And sometimes campaigns do need to be stopped, which is where episodical planning and season arcs come in. You have it, you finish it. You can also, at the end of a season arc, leave the door open for something in the future. Maybe, like think of the Batman movies when Batman Begins, when Batman, figured, saved Gotham in quotes for the time being. At the very end of that movie, Commissioner Gordon handed him the playing card of the Joker for a teaser of the next movie coming up. There's still more little things like that. Just leave the door open. You don't always have to, fully push open that door, but at least it gives your players that ending or, satisfaction of knowing the campaign is over, but maybe one day it could return, as opposed to never getting there or never getting that ending. Or like if our Star Wars game, we've been since episode 1 trying to get to the Academy and we still are not at the Academy. So if we never get to the Academy and end that game, that'll probably frustrate the entire group. If we get to the Academy and then end the game somehow but leave the door open, okay, that's fine, then we got to the end. I don't know, tell me what you think. Head over to Anchor and leave me a voicemail on the app. You can also go to iTunes and give me a rating. AskTheDM at theevildm.com is my email address. If you want to support me that way, share the podcast, like the podcast, follow the podcast. The Evil DM Podcast. I am the Evil DM Vince. Keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.